Welcome back, Battletech fans. Topics covered by this video are from January 2024. It just keeps on coming from the activists. What can you really say at this point? It is always fun to mock them and point out their endless hypocrisy, but it seems like they just keep getting away with becoming more and more hostile and violent towards those they deem to be wrong thinkers, especially under the IP licensee's social media. Now keep in mind, I'm not here to try to get attack dogs after people. I am simply showing public comments and posts made by these people while commenting on it. The decision is the viewers if you want to continue engaging in these places and with these people. It is always good advice to mute and block these people. The only reason I haven't is because they are opposed to Battletech's fanbase. 70% plus of the fanbase has shown they want into the political activism. As the creator of the Battletech Into the Future Refuge, it is important that I know who the bad actors are. A culture of violence is being cultivated within the Battletech fandom by these toxic activists, tourists, and invaders. It is really going out of control. From just regular people in the wider communities to people who are welcomed onto established YouTube channels to members within the Catalyst demo team, it is not stopping. Every single day there are more and more comments and hostile statements being made by these activists. Because it is what I view as the start of this activist movement within Battletech, let's look back at 2022. A core Battletech author, Blaine Pardoe, was cancelled. Side note, it didn't work and he's having incredible success elsewhere, but was cancelled from Battletech. This was done after a brigading mob of these activists and their innumerable sock accounts committed all sorts of defamation. The ringleader was then known as Faith McCloskey. Turns out Faith was a man who had already made threats of violence and had said enough that a court saw fit for a restraining or protective order to be placed against him to aid Blaine Pardoe in dealing with the stalker. During this time, catalystgamelabs published Faith, Ace, Poding, whatever he goes by now, in a product called Shrapnel, after being well aware of Faith's conduct, defamation, and threatening behavior towards their own contracted author. Later, they ended Blaine's contract work. I personally thought it was extremely sexist of Faith to appropriate womanhood to further manipulate a way into being published. Faith explains this farce in his blog, although I won't link it here since there is next to zero activity on the blog. I want to help keep that trend for him. As a side note, there is a range of YouTube comments where Faith acts as a character called quote-unquote Poding, where he uses racist and stereotypical forms of Oriental speech such as Master Poding has spoken. I won't cover the other activist flare-ups between then and now because even though they were intentional injections of a specific range of ideologies, they don't apply to this situation. So here it is, their favorite phrase, I have receipts. Some may see it as small, but I do want to bring a brief moment of attention to a threat made on Reddit. You will see here that they claim employees within Catalyst are trying to run out bigots from the hobby. It directly says they want bigots to feel unsafe. Keep in mind, this is Reddit, not much intelligence running around in those parts of the internet. Regardless, this is a threat of physical violence. Keep that in mind for later. Next, we see someone called Hatchie. No idea who this is, but someone with a fair amount of reach. Here, this individual suggests punching nerds. It doesn't take a lot to figure out which nerds this individual is referencing, given the proximity, timing-wise, to the print release of the Declaration of Allegiance released by catalystgamelabs. Next, we'll see comments from Dom. He is someone who touts all this legal knowledge, yet openly suggests he will commit battery through a violent threat of assault. He reiterates this in his most recent video. Should it be believed he at one point had some level of skill in boxing, he claims, that could be a deadly amount of force. He then makes a funny attempt to preempt any response to his video by discussing defamation and that he knows guys that owe him favors, as though that will shield him from criticism of his own statements of words. Then we see more hypocrisy in his challenge of debate, and guess what? His comments are locked. Later he says he will insult you and call you out for what you are, which sounds a lot like getting into slander and defamation territory, which sounds fairly hypocritical. Finally, we get to a spot where he tries to narrative build that Catalyst put this thing out with completely good intentions. Yet catalystgamelabs published a dangerous individual that appropriated womanhood to steal a publishing slot in one of their products. Yet we have our next, and most fun stalker and violent activist that is being shielded within the Catalyst demo team itself, and was published even after the fandom became aware of the stalking. Now I want to be clear on something. While Dom was given a place to speak on Death from Above Wargaming, Death from Above is not the bad guys. Aaron and Tom are good dudes, and even in the face of the brigade of activists on one of their videos that simply discuss good conduct when someone joins an established group of hobbyists, the two of them tried to find common ground and keep peace. But our quote-unquote community's activists tried to defame and brigade them, accusing them of something they did not do. Repeatedly, the activists tried to deceitfully interlace political activism, gatekeeping, sexism, racism, and LGBT to make it look like Death from Above supported a specific type of gatekeeping they repeatedly said they did not support. You'll also see a meme warfare reference for later in the video. Now on to everyone's favorite activist, the loudest, the most violent, the most vindictive stalker. We have Valk, aka Robin Rosenio. Now, just as I did in my previous video discussing an individual of this lifestyle choice, I will be referencing biological sex when I speak using pronouns. I make no claims as to what Valk's gender may be. I also do this intentionally so that any women who see this video will not be insulted that a man is appropriating womanhood to leverage into a better position in a hobby where women are not as numerous as men. Also, this is so that women who watch this video will not feel there's a stigma against them, where if I address Valk using female gender pronouns, women might feel like they are unwelcome. Anytime I've played a game with a woman, the matches have gone very well. In fact, it's a nice change from the normal sausage fest. Anyway, Valk is notorious right now for the violent rhetoric he constantly uses. At the end of 2023, it became well known publicly that he was bragging about stalking multiple individuals, including me, as well as Catalyst Demo Team agents, which he claims I am one of. Which I find interesting, as any of the Catalyst Demo Team server screenshots I have been sent to me or I collected off social media. I would be curious if, like I suspected during my run-in with a trans person in 2022, and saw during the meme warfare time in 2023, if I'm being impersonated again. These actions are a huge violation of the rules from what I have been sent about the Catalyst Demo Team agent expected conduct. Even when Valk is targeting non-Catalyst Demo Team members, it still shows intent to harass others in the fandom for what he deems to be wrongthink. And yes, these are entire days of chat logs he has recorded after repeatedly saying he is living rent-free in other people's heads. Although now I can take a minute for myself. It looks like Valk tried to dox someone he thought might be me. Although at this point, I don't know why doxing me would be a bad thing. Interestingly enough, before the political activism reached its current point, there was no intention of keeping this profile as an alt. I wanted to promote good health in my favorite hobby, where health issues can be somewhat rampant due to the sedentary nature of the hobby. Outside of fabricated screenshots, nothing I've said online in this arena is far beyond what I would say in real life. However, the anonymity that drives the activist mad is entertaining. Now, with the wild geese, he thought he had a gotcha moment when I posted these images of them. And honestly, one reason I enjoyed making these awesome minis was to be used as bait. The catalystgamelabs canon design for this thug battle mech is called Reich, after Sandy Reich of the Wild Geese, a canon mercenary unit. They were known for altering their color scheme, so I thought vibrant colors would be fun. These guys were wiped out during the jihad trying to protect the civilian evacuation. In this story, I tell about them. Treasure hunters go to the planet Gibson, which is a no-go zone, and they find she survived the fighting and bombardment and in fact was crucial in preventing a Mene Domini cryo facility from potentially reactivating. So, I have no idea how this is a bad thing that a heroic woman stopped the worst evil the Inner Sphere had faced. At least until the Resurgence era began. Check the link in the description. One point of hilarity ensued a couple days ago when the topic of us being stalked came up. Here we have Valk's screenshots he was taking, occasionally claiming he was being, quote-unquote, sent them. We knew he was watching and we were having a hell of a time with the fun banter. While typing up the script, he went and tried to dox a current meme lord's actual location, abusing his capacity as mod wherever this map thing is at. Also, you'll notice the colorful language used by Valk, who openly declares himself a Catalyst Demo Team agent, nearly everywhere, so the expectation that he conducts himself to a higher standard on his platform. Yet another violation of the Demo Team's own rules, and even drifting into dangerous legal territory in his own state. I also want to draw attention to the fact that he has openly claimed to have dossiers on multiple people, but only attempted to dox the guy in a South American country. Are we looking at some racism as well from Valk? I won't go through all the images of stalking, but I will show some pertinent ones. As you recall from a couple minutes ago, I mentioned the no-name Reddit post issuing a violent physical threat. Here you will see a meme lord from 2023 talking about a series of events that took place in Germany. Now, I do not know the accuracy of the information this meme lord provided, but I wanted to focus on him talking about making these spaces, quote-unquote, war zones. For context, this was during a time of meme warfare between the meme lords and the activists in 2023. Valk has consistently tried to claim that his own violent threat made above the theme is justified over meme warfare. He spins it in an attempt to feign self-defense, but we can all see the intent. You can see here where Valk called me out directly, after sharing an image of me bringing up the image of his death threat over meme warfare. You will see afterward that I show you the full image I have. You will then see an image that Valk claims to be the full image. Seems like a crop, cut, and paste job, but I don't have the expertise to demonstrate that. At the end of the day, I make no claims to support the message in regards to the historical violence or the vilification of God's chosen people. However, in Valk's misguided attempt to defame me, he insinuates I will support those messages. Now, I will show you a number of various threatening images, all available on his X/Twitter account, or that have been sent to me by others, where he openly posted in Discord servers and whatnot. One of Valk's attempts to narrative build has been referenced to one of the meme lord's posts about a mech hosing down furries and slapped a convention's name on it. I only saw this meme once, and it was just as absurd as the rest of the meme warfare during 2023. Since then, we have had Valk trying to play CIA and justifies this meme as being the reason he had to act, as he took that as a real threat. We now have someone who has repeatedly implied and stated he is ready to kill and deal violence at a Battletech meetup over differences in beliefs. By the way, how mentally stable are all the people who claim to be CIA when you see them on camera? I'll also add a comparison of actual political statements regarding death. We can go back to the political vitriol in prior elections, where Kathy Griffin took that picture of a severed Trump head, or Snoop Dogg made a video acting like he was murdering Trump. Neither of them acted on those violent insinuations, and neither were held criminally accountable. The absurdity of justifying violent statements over memes is obvious. He clearly says death before detransition, and only death itself can bring them down. So someone implies he should detransition. Is he giving himself the green light to murder someone standing in front of him? If he tries to coerce or compel speech, potentially brandishing his firearm and in violation of the First Amendment, and the person rejects his demands, is he going to murder them? So if someone suggests he shouldn't get political at a game, will he murder them? If death itself is supposed to be the only thing to bring him down, is he going to start threatening self-harm and harm to others as he starts to learn more about the 70% plus of the fan base that doesn't want to deal with his political activism to further his position? Is it not obvious yet? It appears as if killing someone, especially a conservative and or Christian, is almost a fantasy for him, and yet he is shielded and still a demo agent. Representing catalystgamelabs. Here you will see screenshots I was sent showing that he has not even been a demo team agent for a full year before being kicked out and then re-added after the stalking reports were sent up. Keep in mind, he was added back in days before the head of the demo team was axed in what appeared to be a blindside based on leaked screenshots. Finally, as an honorable mention, we have Phoenix. This one goes all in, openly admitting to stalking to a point of trying to find physical locations. One of the big issues, circling back to the Catalyst demo team, is that I've been told they ship shirts or different items to help run games directly to agents. With the Catalyst demo team being taken over and these activists within being promoted, they don't have to stalk anymore. The right person in the right place has access to home addresses of demo agents. But wait, there's more. Part of the problem in this culture of violence being cultivated is activists like contracted authors making blatantly false statements that literally explain murdering gender dysphoric individuals is legal. Nowhere within the United States is murder legal. The court of public opinion is not legally binding. If a criminal act is taken within the United States, the accused is innocent until proven guilty. This inflammatory verbiage he uses here creates fear in the communities he is espousing to support and further emboldens violent individuals and stalkers, like the ones shown in this video, as though their vigilante violence would be justified. Us wrong thinkers certainly don't get that actual right of being innocent until proven guilty. when the toxic transgender individual defamed me as referenced in one of my prior videos, I had to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I was innocent, and still people turned on me who knew me personally. Even in this situation, I didn't call for this toxic activist to be cancelled or physically harmed. That is an important aspect here. I address the problem itself of toxic political activism, not attempting to berate someone publicly that has some major issues to deal with in their personal life. In these quote-unquote communities, people are thrown out of groups and servers without even being able to address issues or defend themselves, just based on a claim by some activist. And considering how often brigading is taking place, it would not surprise me to find out individuals were threatened with being brigaded unless they fulfilled the activist demands. If anything, this looks like a play that was attempted last year by a few meme lords. Burn down the fanbase to take what's left. catalystgamelabs did not release this declaration of allegiance with good intentions. It was a warning by the dozen activists affiliated with the company to agree and affirm their politics, or you were out of the official areas. And just like they did with the Reddit page, take over, stalking members to find out what other groups and servers they participate in, and booting them. They're going around intimidating and potentially impersonating those deemed wrong thinkers in the fan base to get them booted from various groups and servers, along with blatant defamation. Tops, this message is for you. Battletech belongs to the fans. It has only survived because of the fans. A culture of violence is unacceptable in a recreational hobby, and you guys need to get the situation in check by cleaning up catalystgamelabs' political activist problem, or pull the license. Because at the end of the day, the fans will be playing Battletech for years to come, while these activists, tourists, and invaders will move on to massacre another franchise, after they have created a toxic atmosphere that causes this IP to consistently lose your business money. For those interested in abandoning this toxic political activism in the quote-unquote communities, see the description below to join Battletech into the future, and the various areas of the refuge, as well as the Discord server. If anything, actually come and see if anything these activists are lying about and defaming Battletech fans over is true. Conduct yourself appropriately and participate where you want to participate. I welcome you to the home of the Battletech fandom. As always, for the Battletech fans that enjoy this and my other messages, please like and subscribe. Those actions alone infuriate the activists and show that the fans of Battletech stick together.